I'm just going to show you how you can get the IP address, that way you can do this yourselves. So just run this command on the server locally, and then you can switch over to PuTTY. IPADDR, space in between the two, run that. So it'll be etho, ENP, something along those lines. Then you just look in here and down around at iNet, you should see the IP address just here. Okay, here we are at the PuTTY window. So it's pretty basic. All you need to do is just put your IP address in this part up here. 921681160 is my IP address. So I'll put in a video here now showing you how to get it. So just run that on the local system, and that's how you'll get your IP address. And then it'll bring up a window that looks like this. So we just want to log in with Mr. Testman or whatever you made your user. For me that is Mr. Testman, into your password. So once we're here, I always just like to run lsblk, and that just gives a summary of the hard drives and USB drives that is on the system. I don't know why I run that, I just like to. I just like to make sure everything's there. So once we've done that, we just want to run su, and then enter the password for the root user, and that'll elevate our privileges. So then once we've done that, we want to run apt-get, which apt-get is it's aptitude, which is the package manager for Debian. So that's how you download programs and keep your system up to date and stuff like that. So we just want to run apt-get update, and that'll run. So you'll probably see a lot more stuff coming up. I've kind of already updated it. So then after that, we want to apt-get upgrade. We're going to reboot the system. Okay, there we go. So when you reboot, the PuTTY will fail, but that's fine. So just want to close that, and then give your server a chance to restart. Okay, so we enter our IP address. Right. And then we log into our PuTTY shell again. Testman, test. Okay, then we want to check our disks, that's all working. Elevate our privileges with su. And we want to apt-get install wget. Okay, so that's installed with the base version of Debian obviously now. It never used to be, but that's good. So I just run that command just in case, just to make sure you get it, because we're going to use wget to download the installer for Plex, which will be the manager for our media server portion of this server. Okay, and then we want to apt-get again. This time we want to download Samba. Say yes to that. Okay, so once Samba is installed, we want to go get the client. Yes to that. Okay, cool. Once we've downloaded those, we want to update. Okay, and then we upgrade. And we reboot again. The PuTTY shell. So we're ready to start configuring Samba. So we're going to want to elevate our privileges again. Yeah. Somehow fucked up my password. There we go. Then we're going to want to type in vi, so vi is a text editor, and then we're going to go to etc samba smb.conf, and we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom of this. Okay, so once we're at the bottom, we're just going to hit O, which will put us down a line and allow us to start typing. So we're going to put in a square bracket, and I'll just call this storage. Put in the other square bracket, hit enter. We're just going to hit space 3 times. Okay, and then we're going to add a comment, and that comment is going to be file storage on the server. Okay, enter in 3 spaces again. So read only is going to be set to no, which will allow us to make remote changes, so we can create files, edit them, add files, stuff like that. Same again, so we want to set locking to no. Then our path, I'm going to make that storage. Then we're going to go guest, okay, equals no, because we don't want anyone else accessing it if they somehow know the IP address and are on our network. Then we're going to push escape to finish typing. So that will allow us to scroll back around. Okay, so then what we want to do is we want to go colon, and then W, which will save the changes. So changes have been saved. So we're just going to quit. Just reopen it. Scroll to the bottom again. Okay, and the changes have been successfully saved, so we're just going to quit out of that again. Okay, so then we're just going to set up the user login for Samba, because when you're trying to access it remotely, it uses different credentials from the server credentials. So we're just going to do that. So we'll go SMB passwd, short for Samba password, obviously. So just going to go -A, and then we'll type in the user we're using already has to exist, so we'll just use the one we created initially, but you can have a separate user for Samba access if you would like. Let's do a test man, enter. Okay, and then we're going to set the password that we'll have to use to access the Samba share. So I'm just going to keep this the same, but you'll probably want to have it as something different. That way, if you want to give people access to the files, but you don't want them to be able to SSH into the server, then they won't know the password. Make a test. Okay, and now Mr. Testman has been added to Samba. Okay, so after that we're just going to run etc init.d /samba and then restart. That'll make sure all of the changes are running with Samba, so that's all good. Okay, so now technically we can add the Samba share to any computer and access it, but at the moment there is no the storage will just be pointing to the hard drive that we've got the operating system installed on. So we want to configure our other hard drive so that any files that are put on the Samba share go on it instead. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so to configure the file storage hard drive, we're just going to go lsblk like I've been this whole time. Now the reason why we're doing that is because we need some information. So as we can see, this here is the hard drive for the files. So what we need to do is just check what this here is. So it's SDA1. So once we've done that, we want to go vi etc fstab, and then that brings up this, which is it configures where all of the disks on the system are mounted to when the system boots up. So if you don't do this, then it means that you'll have to mount it manually each time, which can be a pain in the ass. So we're just going to hit O, which will create a new line, and then we can start typing. So we want to enter /dev /sd, and then you want to, if you remember, we checked what the letter plus the number was. So for our file hard disk, it was SDA1, so we'll just do that. Okay, and then after that we want to write in the path that it's going to mount to. So we want to set that to storage, because that's where our Samba share is mounted. The path for our Samba share is. Okay, and then after that we have type. So type is what file system it's using. So we configured that when we were installing Debian. So we'll just set that to auto, and then for the options you just want to put in default, and then for dump and pass you just want to push 0 and then 2. So then we're just going to hit escape, and then do :W to save it, quit, and then we'll reopen it just to check it, and everything's been saved. So every time your server boots up now, the SDA1 here, which is the hard disk for all of the files, will be mounted to /storage, which is where the Samba share path is. So you can obviously set that to whatever you want, just make sure it's consistent with the Samba share. So we could reboot it to mount the disk, but I'm also going to show you how to do it manually. So we just want to mount dev /sda1 /dev /sda1 to storage. Oh, okay. Yep, that's my bad. So what we have to do is we actually have to make the directory /storage. So at the moment Samba's pointing to it, and we have our disk will be mounted to that point, but the directory doesn't actually exist yet. So to do that we just go mkdir, which stands for make directory, and then /storage. Okay, now if we try to mount it, that should have worked. So we go lsblk, and the disk, file disk, is mounted to /storage. So we can cd to storage, and at the moment there will be nothing in there. So we can go ls-al, which lists all of the files that are in there. And as you can see, there's only lost and found, which is just a system file that you don't need to worry about too much. Okay, so I'm quickly just going to reboot and just make sure that the disk mounts to the same place every time. So you don't need to do the manual mount like I just did. I was just doing it to show you how it's done in case you wanted to for whatever reason. So I'm just going to reboot. Okay, so I'm back from the reboot. Reboot. And I'm just gonna run lsblk blk again, and as you can see, the hard drive is mounted to /storage. That's good. That's where we want to be. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is make sure that we can access the Samba share we just made. So to do this, in Windows you're just going to want to come to your file manager, make sure you're on this PC. So what we want to do is come over here, we want to map a network drive. I'm just going to map this to we'll map this to M, just because the user is Mr. Testman. Oh, okay, hang on, you guys can't see that shit, I bet. Alright, so use whatever drive leader you want, whatever one you have free. You probably have a lot of them free. Cool, so we're just going to do double backslash, and then we want to enter the IP address of our server, 60, and then we want to enter the name of the share we created before, so that's what was in the square brackets. So, and we just want to finish. Okay, and then it asks for our username, so you want to use whatever the user was, so that was Mr. Testman. And then you want to use the password you set while you're setting up Samba. So if it's different from the actual login password for that user, then use, yeah, just make sure you use the right one. So I kept it the same though, just for simplicity reason, because it doesn't matter too much, but for security reasons you should have that, have them be different. Okay, and then as you can see it's been mounted here. Okay, so we have the party just off to the side here. So I'm going to go into storage, and then over here I'm just going to I'll CD into that path so we can see it. So in here I'm just going to create a new text document. Because we were running as root when we created the directory, the permissions for it haven't been set up properly, so we still need to do that. But the important thing with this is now that we just confirmed that Samba is working properly. Okay, so now we just want to set up the permissions. So we'll just type in the password. So what I'm actually going to do real quick is I'm just going to go make dir, and then we'll call this hi, just as a test. So that should make a directory called hi, which it did. So as you can see, hi has appeared here on our computer. I would do ls-al, check all the files, and hi also exists here. So that's cool. Alright, anyway, let's get these permissions set up. So we just want to go ch own. What's the usage for this? Ch own help. So you want for this for the owner, you want to make sure that it's set to the Samba user. Okay, and there we go. That should have been changed. So as you can see, so if we come back up to here, it was all owned by root before. As you can see, root. So we come down here, it's owned by Mr. Testman. So now if we come over here, we should be able to make changes. So let's try deleting this. Yep, that works. Okay, so now that Samba and permissions are set up properly, the file server portion of the server is basically done. So now we've got to move on to the Plex portion, setting up Plex so that we can make this a proper media server as well. So what you're going to want to do is you're just going to come over to this website here. It'll be in the description like everything else is. So then once you do, it'll probably default to Windows because that's the operating system you're using. So we're just going to come down here and go to Linux, and we're going to go choose distribution, and we want Ubuntu 64-bit, but we're not actually going to download it onto this computer. We're going to use a tool called wget on the server to download the file. So we're just going to want to right click this, copy link address, and we're going to go to our terminal over here, and we're just going to want to hit the left click, which will paste what we just copied. So we're just gonna hit home to go back to the start, and we'll go wget. Okay, and that's downloading now. So one thing you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to make sure you're in the home directory for Mr. Testman. So the easiest way to do that is just to type cd space and then the little squiggle next to the one on your keyboard, and that will get you back to the home directory. Okay, so now that that's done downloading, I'm just gonna go ls-al. Okay, and the file has been downloaded, so that's there. So that's all good. So now the next thing we're gonna have to do is elevate our privileges again. Okay, and then just make sure you're in the right directory, which we are, so that's where the file is. So we're just gonna go apt get install, and then // tells it to install it as a local file. And we're gonna go Plex and hit tab, which will complete it, so that makes sure that it's typed in properly so there's no problems. And we're just gonna hit enter. Okay, and the package is done installing. So we're just going to go back to our browser here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go put in the IP address for our server, and that should bring up the Plex interface. Here we go. Okay, so once you bring that up, we're just going to go, what's this? Down in the corner there, it's kind of hard to see it in a way, obviously. Skip and accept limited functionality. So then it's going to bring us to our Plex dashboard. So this is just a little information about it, not really much. Okay, so we're just going to exit out of that. Okay, we're just going to untick this, because to use that you need to pay for Plex, so we're just not going to worry about it. Okay, so then what we're going to want to do is add whatever media we have. So I'm just going to come over to our Samba sheet here. I'm just going to add a folder and call it media, and I'm going to add a library. This will be for TV shows, I guess. So just hit next, browse for a media folder. So we're just going to go down here to storage, and then media, and then add. Then I'm going to add to library, okay, and then I'm just going to hit next. Okay, so that process was taking a little bit long there, so I just decided to go back to the IP address 32400/web. So it's brought me here, so it looks like it's set up properly. So down here we have the libraries, so we added the TV shows earlier, so we're just going to click on that. And obviously there's nothing here yet, so let's populate it with some media. Okay, so those files are done copying now, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Plex here. We're going to click the dots, and we're going to scan library files. Plex is pretty particular about file structure and the name of your media files and stuff, so I'll have a link about how to do that exactly. A link about their naming conventions and stuff in the description. We'll just move these over to this folder. We'll go next, browse for media folder, storage, media, YouTube, and add. We'll add library. Okay, so those are showing up now. So I guess the reason why they weren't showing up in TV shows was because it wasn't recognizing any of the metadata for it. So that comes down to, again, the files being properly named. But these videos are showing up, so we'll just try play one. So these are from the intro to my last part of the series. So you guys will get a sneak peek into the recording process, I suppose. Info. Okay, yeah, so it's recognizing that it's 4K and everything. And keep in mind this is on a Pentium 4. So far it's playing fine, everything's alright. There's nothing wrong with it. Everything's coming through as clear as.
Now, you're probably here because you're exactly like me.
Okay.
Poor, and you want to serve.
I'll just stop that before it gets too bad. Obviously I edited out all of the fucking kind of bad stuff. But yeah, so as you can see, this server handles 4K footage just fine. So if you did have any 4K media, it won't have any problems with that at all. And we'll try playing another one. Okay, and as you can see, this is handling 2 4K streams just fine from a Pentium 4 running like an old kind of shitty hard drive. So that really shows you just how much life these machines have left in them. We just need to approach their use case in a slightly different way. So now that Plex is set up though, the server is essentially done. So you'd want to make different folders for TV shows, movies, music, and all that sort of stuff. But otherwise it's done and it's working. It's as easy as that. Okay, so here we are. Everything is done with the server. So I'm just playing some shit off of the Plex server. I've got some stuff added, and as you can see, it's playing 1, 2, 3. If I can get this one to load, 4. Yep, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, that one's failing. I think that's more the computer than anything else, because everything else seems to be loading. We're getting some stuttering there, but these are all 4K. This is the original footage I played since... We'll play this one. That's the video that the other one was trying to play and couldn't do very well. But they're all different clips, that way you know that it's not just loading the same one from memory off the server. And they're all playing fine. So I have a 5th client up here, which is this Blu-ray player I got from Cash Converters for 15 bucks. It's not playing, it doesn't support 4K, so I can't actually play their videos, but it's just got some, it can't make a kill up there now. But this is all 4K footage being played at the moment. So it's not the smoothest experience, but I mean, realistically, how many people are you gonna have watching all 4K movies all at once? It's just insane. Look, this thing, it's a fucking Pentium 4. To get the same thing from Netflix, you're looking to pay $20 a month plus whatever your internet is. But we did this for fucking free, using a Pentium 4. It doesn't even matter what sort of bandwidth you get or what your data cap is on your internet. As long as you have the media files locally, it won't cost you a damn cent. Other than power, of course, but that won't be much. And it's all coming out of a fucking Pentium 4. This computer is almost as old as I am. It's fucking insane, and people are just chucking this shit out. Like, seriously, the shit that can be done with these old computers with just a little bit of ingenuity, some free and open source software, and a little bit of time. And this is the shit you can do. Fucking 4 4K clients running all at once, some stuttering here and there, another playing a 1080p fucking anime, and all of this shit. It's just, oh fucking hell, it's so good. It's a fucking Pentium 4. Honestly, who thought a Pentium 4 would be capable of this? Ah, fuck. There's so much can be done with these old computers. Fucking look at this shit. Fucking 5 clients all accessing it at once. And it's working. Mostly.